So taking a look at oh geez, I forgot to pull up the map band for this one. I think I sent it to you, Dyer, and then forgot to pull it up myself. That's smart.
Darksea Corsairs has the first map pick for the first map that is going to be played. So see what they pick here. If they are, there we go, Polar Highlands as the first map. So that's Darksea Corsairs making that pick.
Yeah, there's Polar Highlands right off the bat. Oh, thank you. So Darksea Corsairs with that pick on Polar, that's going to be interesting. And then mining. I'm wondering if Corsairs is thinking like a cap strat against a push to secure that early win.
I wonder that as well, but we've seen a fair bit of pushing from Darksea Corsairs, so I don't know if you want to brawl into KDCM, but maybe they do.
Entirely possible.
Third map is Hibernal Rift, another quite brawlable map. There are other ways to play it, though. There are options beyond brawl available to these teams.
Yeah, and actually something we're seeing from a lot of these teams is their mobility. The mobility is really showing its strength. EQ is just a very mobile and aggressive team. And let me get this in here.
So Vitric is map 4 and Crimson is map 5. If we get to the 5th map.
Yeah. And then obviously with the push team, you're hypermobile as well. ME obviously with a very strong wolf pack and moving their Overwatch tendencies, and we've got 5JDX with probably one of the meanest wolf packs in the game right now. So we're seeing that trend, I think. KDC, I'm choosing team 2 for the mining collective. We're going to be swapping sides for Hibernal. Excuse me. Which leaves us with Vitric up next. Vitric very we'll see what the sides end up. Interesting that Vitric was chosen so late. To Dyer's point, Vitric is a little bit of a, because it's so symmetrical, is a bit of a throwaway. Also, speaking of Dyer, are you aware that you're muted? I guess would be the question. I haven't heard from you in a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm here to bring the flavor of meta, so.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, and we are on Crimson Straight, where DSC is going to be team 1. All right. So the selection is complete. We got 3 minutes to go. So our first map up here is Polar Highlands. So speaking of bringing the meta, let's talk some Polar Highlands.
Yeah, so we were just talking about this earlier, how easy it is to push on Polar, especially using a lot of the safe routes and everything. I'm assuming DSC is team 1.
DSC yes. On this one is yes.
Okay, cool. So realistically, they're probably gonna go for a 3-cap hold of like Epsilon, Theta, Kappa. That's just kind of really traditional. However, you do see a lot of other go for like Epsilon, Theta, Gamma, as Gamma has a really good vantage point of Theta and a really good trading spot. So we'll probably see some action there, probably some light on light fights. Or we could just see the entire roll there like you saw in the last match. KDCM, I'm fully expecting them to grab Sigma and push straight through Theta and catch DSC completely off guard, but I think DSC is going to bring just enough DPS to be able to salvage the match. Again, I'm going to look at like Xyz, Black Lanterns, Skulls, anything that can really go fast, has a lot of DPS, a lot of firepower. Coming from honestly both sides. I expect them to both bring Xyz, Skulls, Crusaders, and Black Lanterns.
Yeah, we could see Brawl versus Brawl. Definitely an option here. But if you know that your opponents are pushing, there are some receives. So we'll see how these teams play it.
Yeah, and expect DSC to set up over here, I think in Hotel 6 Golf 7 for that receive as usual. I see there's a path drawn here on Team 2. I think that's probably more direct of a path than we're actually going to see. I would imagine we're going through like the hotel line high is where those tend to be into golf, but that receiving line can be absolute. Oops, and I just took it and moved it. This receiving line can be really nasty, and should a team decide to wrap around Gamma here, can just really unfold and focus their attention that way. It's a really versatile starting point. It's kind of like in Crimson, where you see some teams set up on Epsi, especially on that Team 1 side, and they just wait for the island to either develop so they can shoot about it, or you know, see some trading opportunities. It's sort of a stopover place before you develop your move a little farther. Maybe see a starting the timers here for Team 1, and maybe see you know, get some of that scouting info, maybe send a light over to Kappa and then back in. Give yourself some time. I think Team 1 does have that. If a Team 2 is pushing, they have a really nice opportunity to set up a hold on caps.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest questions is going to be is if DSC does go for a game, what cap are they going to go grab first? Is it going to be Kappa? Is it going to be Gamma? Me personally, I think Kappa is a little bit more the safer route, but it also leaves that mech out of the fight longer. As it, if I remember correctly, it's the furthest away from Theta, and it leaves you out of the fight for so long. So you have to have like a spider or a flea, something that goes really, really fast to be able to grab that cap and then get back in the fight as quickly as possible. Yeah. That's why Gammas will probably see a lot more play for lights as opposed to Kappa, but again, Kappa's just to grab it and forget about it almost.
Gamma's also got that high ground that teams very much enjoy putting either range mechs for trading purposes or even just a light mech to get a good scout from the high ground. So we've seen clashes around Gamma. I don't think we've seen clashes around Kappa yet in this championship series.
I definitely think it's gonna be a fight on the northern side of the map towards Gamma, just like last match, ironically. Because there's so much open terrain down there as well towards the Kappa side, towards that southern side of the map. It's a lot easier to play that northern side. A lot of cover, a lot of hills, a lot of little cheeky positioning for lights and stuff. But again, got to look out for Theta as well, just a little bit there.
Yeah, and taking it can give you a bit of advantage if you're able to sneak it, but it is so often a trap. You know, those mechs will just sit there and wait to pounce on you if you take it. But if you can get it, can apply a little pressure and force them to come into Theta as well. Let's see, we're coming up on 2.5 minutes here. 14-1 to log.
I know you talked about it earlier about how teams in the private log putting mechs into certain lances.
Yes.
Look how DSC is set up.
Here, let me get over to the log here real quick. And we'll have the map up in the corner, so feel free to annotate as well. Yep, we're there.
So DSC again is set up Charlie Bravo. Gonna be a pretty standard typical play, especially if you push for the Theta side area. You do have Red Baron up in Alpha, which I'm assuming he's the guy that's gonna go and grab Epsilon and then rush back to the team as quickly as possible. So you're probably going to be looking at like a really fast light, something like a cap really quick, cap accelerator, like a commando, spider. Incubus has it as well.
Yeah, Incubus has been a very popular pick for that Epsilon cap, either regrouping around Theta or heading for Kappa, depending on team strat.
And ultimately, that map that goes to Epsi just needs to be able to catch up to the team before shit goes down, right? So, Cap Excel certainly useful in reducing that time, but equally something quick in any case. Or well, no, since he's alone, it would just be Baron rather than, you know, a team running over it. But also these these points are so close together, like on many maps, that it almost doesn't matter. It's harder versus something like let's see, Crimson's got some gap between them. Some of the other maps, like this one, is so clustered. Which, in terms of my opinion and my player, like, I like to spread apart caps because, one, it makes you think about these things a little more than saying, oh, we'll just throw people in.
Yeah.
Or like on Vitric, you've got Alpha and Charlie, and there's really no reason to take Bravo. So it's that kind of a thing I like, because they're a little more spread out. There's actually defining features rather than who is a second and a half closer to a cap, kind of a thought. But that being what it is,
I
really,
like, don't.
Well, here's, sorry, not to cut you off, but
Go ahead.
in terms of what's happening here, like the Mex and Bravo have almost the same time to Sigma on team 2, really, than the Alpha. If not, they may actually be a little closer. So it just seems a little straight, you know. It's close enough that it doesn't entirely matter, or, you know, it's just a little more north, but those pathing angles do make a difference sometimes.
Yeah, no, 100%. I completely lost my train of thought. It's all right.
All good. And actually, speaking of losing train of thought, both teams are actually locked here. So let's go ahead and set them up, and maybe your train of thought can re-rail itself here.
Well, again, look how KDCM set up. 4 Alpha, 3 Charlie. Those are 2 separate sides of their spawn points.
Yeah, with one in Bravo, and that is the gap that we're looking where that makes a difference. It would be interesting if they spread them out, like maybe move Bravo to where Charlie is, and Charlie over to like Gulf 4 or something. Interesting take on it, but that is not where we are. That is not our current situation. We are on the Polar Highlands. Some very nice snowdrift up here, and some buildings that no one uses for cover. Map so big that not even the walls get played. So here we are, kind of in the center. Hang out on the aerial tower here while we wait for the teams to load in. Here we go. All right, I am headed back here to the KDCM side. Actually, I chose the wrong way on the map. All good. Just got myself a little turned around. Here we are. We are back with an Executioner and Gargoyle. Blood Asp and Incubus. What is on that Blood Asp? Blood Asp is the ER large, which that make the Gargoyle. Large pulse and a whole bunch of smalls. That is an interesting Gargoyle build for what's happening here. ER large laters on Crusader. It looks like KDCM may have come to trade, quite frankly. How about the Darksea Corsairs? What's it looking like over there?
Darksea Corsairs, they've brought kind of a hybrid drop deck, which is quite popular now. They've got binary heavy lasers on the Warhammer with ER Mead, so a mid-range vomit. The Executioner is quad ER large, but also has a bunch of red lasers. I've seen that either kind of trade or push depending on the situation. Crusader has ER PPCs, Vapor Eagle has ER PPCs, 2 of those, and then the Hellfire is also a mid-range vomit with the heavy large ER Mead.
So Darksea Corsair is not looking like they're setting up to receive. KDCM taking advantage of a quick theta cap. Probably going to snag as much as possible and then run with Taitetsu just tucking in next to this. But Indian is coming in that Black Lantern to push him off. We'll see how this goes. Indian moving to flip the theta cap as well. No one interested in Kappa seemingly, but Darksea Corsairs with a lot of their weight coming in towards theta. While KDCM is still getting into position, looks like maybe they're headed up Gamma into those fields where they would receive a push. So both teams now spreading out from their original push-like postures, and looks like they're settling into trade here.
Yeah, and trade here might favor Darksea Corsairs. They have perhaps a little bit more range than KDCM Saturday Night Special.
KDCM has a lot of ER large, actually, versus the binaries and stuff that I'm seeing. So I think KDCM actually would have the advantage on that.
It's close. I mean, I believe the Executioner was large pulse, was it not? For, I mean, the Blood Asp is a pure trade, but yeah,
the Gargoyle is also
large pulse.
Yeah, so actually, the Gargoyle is large pulse as well. The Crusader is 3 ER large.
Both decks pretty similar in that regard. Like the Blood Asp is a trade mech versus the Executioner for the other team. So it's maybe a wash.
Taitetsu pulls back, and Way of the Ferret are pulled back towards Sigma. And looking at KDCM, they've given up pretty much all of the map here. They've certainly given up the 3 cap to Darkseas Corsairs Theta Occupation.
Yeah,
and they're just holding on Gamma Point.
Trade positions here, Pride Rock around Gamma, but the rest of the team is making a low ground push as they've recognized the 3 cap situation to 2 cap situation. They have to make a move.
But meanwhile, the mechs at Sigma, there's 2 mechs at Sigma, and actually it looks like that. I'm going to go over to that trap because that trap's about to be sprung. They're just tucked in here waiting. Oh no, they're moving off right as House. Nope. Maybe. Yes. All right. They've noticed House is getting jumped here in the Cap Spider. He's got 2 medium X pulls here against Phoenix Hawk and a Flea.
They're lagging on my screen. I'm wondering, there's a slow reaction as well in the case of House. I wonder if they have a connection issue.
Maybe. Hard to tell. It looks like House using those jump jets to probably get away. Well, the rest of the team is going up 5 against 6 here. It seems curious here. All right, so it looks like Smoke Dog and the Gargoyles getting a little thrashed on the incoming fire. It is spread all over as Ramen pushes in against Hollow, trying to get a little hug, though. They take him out, though.
Both
absolutely brutal legs. Yep. So looks like Red Baron's going to take out... Oh, no. Ramen explodes on his own. House finally goes down. Those mechs need to get in here. As this KDCM push is going sort of a man down here. Smoke Dog finally going down in that Gargoyle. Stool Softener about to go down against 4 other mechs. CT one shot. And the Overwatch is just sort of picking here.
Yeah, the push is over. This is... You know, they got some damage in. They picked up a couple kills.
Yep. But... Yeah, Claw's got to pull out and get under his Overwatch here.
Yeah, there's an open leg on the Hellfire on the side of Darkseas Corsairs. Like this could maybe go to Caps with a couple legs here. Black Lantern legs are not open though.
Yeah, and actually, let's see, we're pulling them over towards
Shadowcat leg
here.
So
yeah, the Overwatch
needs to get out.
Yeah, go ahead.
In order for this to be possible to go on a cap when...
Oh, nope, there goes down. Claw. Yep. Two back shots, not twisting quite enough there against the shots. Trommel just out of range here. Not really able to help much. Taitetsu taking Kappa, but he's got a Indian here in the Black Lantern about to run him over.
If that leg doesn't come off the Black Lantern, there's no way for a cap win here.
Lantern is fresh on the legs, so I don't know how that's going to...
Vapor Eagle coming in from behind. Yep. The Vapor Eagle is open on the legs. The Flea can maybe pick those legs off before going down.
61%. That's rough, but look at that janky movement. That is good Flea movement. Making it difficult for even me to click. Oh, but going down, that looked like a rear CT. Yeah. Yep, there it is, rear CT. And then pushing over. So we've got Way of the Ferret and the Phoenix Hawk and then the Blood Ass. There's caps are way on the side of Darkseas Corsairs, as is armor. Let's see. Way of the Ferret just hanging out here by Sigma, I guess.
Shadowhawk's pretty healthy. Blood Asp is looking pretty good as well. Arm is open. There's no weapons in there. Side torso is a little bit squishy as well.
Trommel taking off Ivzovsky and the Executioner. Let's see, that was finishing off the legs there. Team giving him good intel, but here we've got a Hellfire. Opponent in the Hellfire trying to track down a Ferret as he does, and has Zelka's backup. Trommel still not really having any angles, but coming down off of Gamma to try to find some.
Blood Asp has to make a move for Theta, not where they want to fight, but the cap situation is such that they need to make that move.
Yep, and Theta is the obvious point there since it doesn't have quite the cap on it.
Yeah, it's the only one they can make it to in time. Phoenix Hawk has an open leg, Way of the Ferret, open yellow. But they're making it, they're getting cut off from the cab. They're going to have to fight for it. It's going to be a 1v2, maybe 1v3. That leaves Theta undefended, though.
It does, and looks like Trommel is closing in on that. There's still a mech left on Theta, but here's the fight. Way the Ferret trying to hold on against Indian. Indian's still fairly fresh, but there's some blue lasers, and there goes Way of the Ferret's leg, and the other one.
If
Indian
the
closing that out.
leg damage instead of side torso damage,
but different story for sure. Trommel down here at 68%. With an open side torso. Red Baron just looks like bullying him in the Shadowcat here with the Pop-Tart heavy larges. Ooh, but Red Baron is legged.
Yeah, they've been.
There's got to be careful with those jumps. Let's see.
The Theta cap's probably not enough at this point. Even if this does go down to 3 caps for KDCM toward the end, I think the 2 cap situation for Dark Sea Corsairs at 650 is enough.
It's yeah, that's probably going to work out here because they're getting pretty close here. But the rest of the team is here to back up Red Baron, and Trommel is going to go down, losing a half just down to 2 ER large. That's not going to be enough to finish anyone else. Ooh, maybe Zelk. Maybe Zelk. Are you going to get it? No, not going to get it. Red Baron finishes that fight with Trommel, giving Dark Sea Corsairs the victory in our first match here. And we'll take a look at the damages here. All right, let's see here. 622 for Indian in that Lanner, 642 in the rival, 500s on Poner and Ivazovsky. That is largely uncontested except for Trommel in that Blood Asp. The next highest is 300 on KDCM. That push was entirely too many people down, and Trommel wasn't in enough of a spot to really make a difference in that little scrap that they had there. So check and see if the stats have updated here, which they have. So take a look at those detailed stats while I move on to the next match here. And we'll send it on over to Dyer for a debrief and a prediction on what we're going to see next.
All right. So, wasn't a super huge fan of the builds that KDCM brought. I think they honestly lost it in the mech lab there, and positioning wise as well. The Sigma trap could have been beautifully executed if they just waited another second or two. They could have gotten that spider way quicker than what it took. Wasn't also a very huge fan of that spider as well with the medium X pulse, because it's a light mech at the end of the day. It doesn't really have a whole lot of armor, and it's required to stare. And so with it, really, you kind of have to flutter the jump jets in order to get good damage and not really take a whole lot. He wasn't able to do that. What I want to talk about was the face hug of that Warhammer.
Oh yeah,
that was a I understand why he did it, because he essentially just trapped him into that corner where he was. Granted, he also got shot a lot by his own teammates, ripped the legs off of the Warhammer, so
the tonnage trade isn't bad.
Yeah. Considering that Warhammer, I'm really surprised we haven't seen it more and more in those push vomits, because it has that speed quirk to it. It can run a really, really healthy IS laser vom. Again, running the binaries, running your mediums. Yeah, just DSC really executed this map very well. Just kind of held that Gulf 7, Hotel 7. That fight was up there towards the northern side of the map. They rotated back towards India 7 whenever they saw the KDCM mechs push. I definitely felt like the Blood Asp should have realized sooner that he wasn't getting as good shots as he needed to be in order to help that fight, because that fight was just, again, towards the Hotel 7, India 7, really wasn't more into the Hotel 8, which is what I think KDCM wanted it to be in, so that Blood Asp could just get that extra damage out. So, props to DSC. They played it very well. The Crusaders. I want to point this out. The 3 large is an interesting choice, but it will lose to any binary laser, ERPPC, Snub Crusader any day of the week, and I will die on that hill. So yeah, I definitely think the Crusader builds was another huge.
I think ER large Crusader is a bit of an interesting pick. We've seen a 5 ER large Crusader used in a previous match, I think during the invitational seeding. But we've seen much more ER PPC, snub nose PPC, and binary laser Crusader builds. The ER large is a little bit of an outlier.
I can see the appeal of the ER large Crusader because of its ridiculously high amounts on the arms and on the shoulders, but the really big power of the Crusader is just being able to add that extra DPS into that fight with, again, like the 12 small lasers it can pack. That one runs 11, so it really is kind of difficult to fill that. Run it with ER large, be as much of a glass cannon as it is, and still be able to kind of get in there the brawl, because then you're going to look at heat issues. And ER PPCs are hot, but they're a lot more manageable, and you can just not fire them and still have the DPS of the 12.
All right, do we want to move on to talking about map 2 Hibernal Rift, I believe it is? No, Mining Collective, sorry.
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
I mean, either map strats or drop deck.
So, mining is one of those, again, you can play it so many different ways. We've seen historically in the past, a lot of teams take a lot of Pop-Tart, a lot of long-range play as well. But more recently, you're starting, again, to see a lot more of that mid-range, that really, really get-in-your-face brawl. We saw KDCM pull off a brawl receive / brawl themselves beautifully. Wasn't happy with their positioning, but they still just absolutely collapsed. So some areas I want to point out here is this Delta 4 area, the Echo 4. These two places are typically either going to be where brawls are sprung, or where you're going to see a lot of Pop-Tart, a lot of trade and everything. Primarily, a lot of Pop-Tarts are going to be down here in Echo 4 near the southern side of the map. Places you want to avoid getting caught is right here, the Delta 5, Echo 5 low ground, and then also right here. These are kill boxes. You get caught in there in a brawl, you might as well just go ahead and sign off, because there's not much you can do there. Some other really good trading spots here as well is like Delta 6. You can also put a mech up here from the Team 2 side. You also have...
Yeah, one thing I'm waiting to see here is whether or not Team 2 is advantaged in the comp queue. Waiting to see the stats for that. I referenced it earlier, and I went and rechecked, and it's a quick play comp stats for Mining Collective that give the Team 2 the heavy advantage. So it'd be interesting to seeing stats for competitive play, just historically, or even just for comp queue, which would give us a nice big indication there.
And that's an interesting thought. I mean, it does have that minor theta advantage, but if you're not playing for caps, and a lot of teams have been more aggressive and more brawly, I think, this comp season than when trade was very much the meta for a while there, and you could just set up around, and there I think Team 2 would have certainly an advantage, because if you could take theta, you could hold theta, right? But now that teams are much more aggressive, much more mobile, which I love to see, I think we're probably going to see less of that advantage. I would be interesting to see what the trend is there, in terms of what it was versus what it is with some of the changes.
Yeah. I'd love to see analytical data in that regard.
A couple of data people here, but let us rely less on the data and more on the players here as we launch them into Mining Collective's second drop here.
This is going to be very interesting. DSC is actually set up what appears to be more so of a northern push, as opposed to KDCM's kind of more set for the like a southern push. So, which typically that's how a lot of teams also like to play it, but it's really curious to see if they're going to bring both brawl and just kind of circle around each other.
Circle around the drain, as it were. Yeah. I could see it. To your point, a lot of teams do split this map north-south. It seems intuitive to split it east-west. That is not necessarily the case. You know what? I went and hung out on the other side. Here's Mining Collective from the south, and both teams coming in here. I'm on the KDCM side. Let's see what we're looking at. We've got an Executioner, a Dervish, Crusader, Firestarter, Timberwolf. Let's take a look at some of these. Our Crusader here with the snub nose PPCs. That Dervish is going to be a whole bunch of SRMs, small lasers. The Firestarter I want to check out is heavy machine guns and small X-Pulse. Very interesting. Not typical. Our Mad Cat is LB's SRMs. This is a full-on brawl here. I'm just one more check on the Timberwolf. SRMs, small pulse, and heavy machine guns on that Timberwolf. This is a lot of brawl. What are we seeing over on DSC?
Almost pure Pop-Tart. A lot of heavy PVCs, some ER PVCs. Shadowcat has Hag and machine gun. A little bit of a build variance there. Shadowhawk here from Sir Epic Ponder is light PPC SRM 6, so that's going to have to be the DPS here for that receive.
Yep. Now, I think KDCM has a potential advantage here, but they've got a lot of, well, I guess they're not entirely ground bound, but they're not known for their jumping. But they're getting up here on the Echo 4 high ground here as Epic Ponder comes around in the Shadowcat, and I think spots the push, and here we go. KDCM going to jump on Poner here. I think Poner probably done for. Ramen with the Crusader just a little late to the fight, but getting in there. Smoke Dog in the Timber going down first though, and they're leaving Poner in their backs. Ooh, that is a mistake on KDCM, closing on Royal Star and just leaving Poner. Ramen turning to deal with that while the rest of the push goes on. Taitetsu tangling with the Crusader in the center with the Viper, also with Hollow in the Warhammer in the back as you got some Overwatch, and Taitetsu goes down. Claw trying to do a little bit of distraction there. Poner finally goes down to his own heat. KDCM very split here. I think their push is a little disjointed here as Claw tries to push Indian into his friends. Is not going to be enough. Mislinks at 52%, but here we go. KDCM getting it all together. Surrounding Indian here at 60%. They managed to take it out, make it a 2-2. Darksea Corsairs remaining mechs very healthy though. Claw finally going down the mislinks for a trade for Ivazovsky, for a trade for up armored Rickshaw. So this is Darksea Corsairs up on mechs and armor here. Way the Ferret, Stool Softener trying to get to Royal Star here, getting pulled back to deal with Zelk, taking that out, tying it up 4-4 as Darksea Corsairs starts to retreat a little bit, gain themselves some time. That being said, they left another mech behind Royal Star to shoot them in the back, and Way the Ferret goes down to a center torso back. Though. Oh yeah. Well, there's mostly
legs are still quite fresh on that Executioner, so there's no stopping it moving forward here.
Oh yeah, Hollow losing a leg, I think, right there to those small lasers. Now it's Fire Ant and Hollow versus Trauma. Let's see how they got that one. A headshot
on the Executioner.
There it is. That is honestly, I think, a tie turner. I think KDCM probably had could have taken Hollow down, put some damage on Fire Ant, but that's down. Ramen down to, I'm not sure, rear or center TC. They're not even going full legs here, the Darksea Corsairs. The Stool Softener takes out that Shadowcat finally, and Royal Star again left to fire here. KDCM just leaving mechs behind to shoot them in the back.
Yeah. Mad Cat goes down center torso. They did take a lot of damage from the rear though, from that Firestarter when they did a walk past.
And it was what was it over here? The Shadowhawk. Wait, that was a Shadowhawk. I was calling it a Shadowcat.
Yeah, no, both the Shadowcat and the Shadowhawk. It was the
no, the
Shadowhawk was the speed bump.
They left it. No, it wasn't even. They went over the Shadowhawk, left it there. That's 3 SRM6 and 3 light PPCs. That is no slouch in a fight. And they left that at their back. That definitely Well, it did. It cost them Smoke Dog here. Just
Yeah, that
straight out.
executioner had an open yellow head. I don't know who got the head open there, and then I think it was the fire starter popped the head off there. That was pretty clutch.
It was, yeah, it was. I think momentum shift there for sure. So let's see what we're looking at for the stats here. 588 for the Mad Cat Mark II on KDCM, 715 for that Warhammer, Hollow's Warhammer. Wild. Let's see. Poner managed to pull out almost 500 damage in that Shadowhawk. And where's our fire starter? Another 500 damage in a fire starter, just for, you know, back shots galore.
The Shadowhawk essentially got me, and yet it still managed to put out 480 damage before going down. That is significant.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 kills for Royal Star as well in that fire starter. Wild. Yeah, looking at KDCM again, another damage spray, but we've got a Viper and a Timberwolf both double D'ing, and that is killer.
That Timberwolf went down center torso really fast. Good focus fire, and you know, obviously it was a cold target, and everybody was hitting that center torso.
I don't know if y'all saw it, but Royal Star with that fire starter, almost all of his kills were back shots.
Oh yeah, they left him to do absolute work.
Yeah.
All right, we are switching sides here, but I'll send you guys over to the map room to take a look at what happened there. I'm sure there's lots to talk about.
Really, like, just the biggest story of that map was just leaving mechs unfinished. That Timberwolf, again, face hugging's starting to become a real big issue for him right now. That Timberwolf face hugging the Shadowhawk is the reason he died, 100%. And you know, that push would have been really, really solid if they actually stopped, finished it, and then kept on going, or you kept the Mad Cat Mark II and like maybe one other mech to finish off that Shadowhawk, and then push into the fire starter, just keep on going through with your speed, your damage, and everything. But again, leaving mechs unfinished, just keep on going. The Viper, not entirely sure what happened with the Viper, but he was fighting a Crusader. Crusader beats almost every light mech in the game because of how much firepower it can bring. It's one of those really cool roles that the Crusader can fill. It's just absolutely deleting light with just the amount of weapons it can put on. And the Warhammer 9D was just talking about it last, of how strong it can be. Obviously, he was able to pull off 700 damage. Cooking his internals, though, a lot. I didn't know if y'all saw his internals. They were extremely cooked.
Yeah, and considering the amount of leg damage that mech had taken, internal damage is pretty risky there. It's not just... Yeah, it's... You know, sometimes you use that structure as extra heat sinks, and sometimes it comes back to bite you.
I've been in that situation once or twice. Blood leaks definitely was a fun time. But yeah, again, it's just DSC, the ability for them to pop tart, use their PCs, use the jump jets, use the terrain, kind of essentially kite KDCM until it was time to finish it. It was honestly, in my opinion, that was textbook brawl receive on this map. I couldn't have done it any better myself.
Yep, they really stretched out their line, made KDCM go mech to mech while they continued to lay into them, and then the mechs that got left behind also continued to lay into them. It was a very good receive, though, on DSC's part there.
KDC could have won that one.
Yep.
Took the split second finish.
And it would have, yeah, if they had taken Royal Star out, like bothered to finish him out, they had him surrounded and just like, hey, move on, leave the fire starter, I guess, who then killed 4 of them to back shots. And then leaving that Shadowhawk behind was absolutely devastating. Like, it just took a mech out right away to a back shot before they even knew, and then took another mech out of the push while they dealt with it.
I think they also had the Firestorm running small pulse and heavy machine gun, small X pulse.
Yeah, they did have a were they X pulse? I thought they were regular smalls.
I'm pretty sure they were X pulse.
Okay.
Watching the stream.
Either way, lasers and machine guns versus other things that you can do on the Firestarter can make a big difference.
Yeah, like I'm not convinced that the small X-Pulse machine gun like heroes for Firestarters are better than the light PC or the small pulse Firestarter you can run on the K with the laser. I'm not convinced that it's better whatsoever. Medium X-Pulse, maybe, but again, it's a light, and those fights and everything, you need to be able to twist a little bit more so you can actually spread that damage around rather than just face staring. So unless that's your pack is nothing but high DPS face stare and you just go eat legs, which kind of looks like what they wanted to do, but it was unsuccessful. And I would just rather bring a Javelin than a Firestarter at that point.
Fair enough. Although we have our first team locked, so let's swap it over to Hibernal here. What we might see from these teams here. It's a little bit smaller map than, or rather, arguably less cover, slightly less vertical than mining, so we're not going to see quite the same thing, nor do they have quite so many avenues for escape from a push. So what do you think on here, Dyer?
Knowing the history of KDCM, this is going to be a straight team 1 to 2 straight up that right hand hook of just straight push into it. I did mark a certain spaceship on here. I'm still trying to see who we're going to give ownership to the spaceship to. I've seen so many teams die here. We saw it at the play for the 12th spot for Invitationals. SROT just absolutely got themselves eaten alive there.
Yeah.
We need to know who owns this spaceship at the end of this. But yeah, it's going to be that right hand swing by KDCM, a lot of push vomit, especially DSC. I think again, we're just gonna see a reverse wash of what their deck was of last map of just Pop Tart and Brawl Receive and going for legs.
All right, well, I think that is concise enough. So let's go ahead and launch these teams in a Hibernal Rift. What could be the final match of this matchup? We shall see. These matches I expected to be a little closer this weekend, but they've been very, very decisive.
As we get further into this tournament, things should start to get a little bit closer as the competition kind of heats up. But yeah, these are elimination matches today. Both teams have a lot to play for.
Yeah. All right, so taking a look here, we've got Ivazovsky in the binary Stalker. I'm sorry, 2 binary 6 Eremides. Mislinks SRMs, UAC Marauder, heavy PPC Crusader. We've got our Firestarter with Royal Star in our standard light PPC. There's that Warhammer again with the binaries and mediums. And then our rival, let's take a look. I think I saw someone with blue lasers in an earlier match. Nope, ERPPC standard build here on the Darksea Corsair side. How's KDCM looking?
KDCM is doing an Epsilon push. SRM's LBX20's large pulse on the Executioner. Crusader is snub-nosed PPC, and the Firestar is looking at Epsilon with 8 small pulse as well. So full-on push. They're doing a Theta move with the Mislinks, get some scout, maybe take the cap, but they're going to send it around Epsilon momentarily. And I believe it's been scouted by the Mislinks here from
yeah, absolutely.
Darksea Corsairs with the Red Baron here.
Yeah, and Red Baron in a little bit of a precarious position because like one mech could pin him down, but that's not what KDCM's about.
They're moving through the
they want that dropship, Dyer. I don't know what to tell you. I think they're saying it's theirs, but we'll see how they go. Stool Softener taking a 5% burn there. As what was that? The Shadowcat just lets loose. But they are crossing relatively unscathed as Darksea Corsairs rotates towards the volcano and their Overwatch. That is going to be an issue. KDCM is going to have to kill very quickly in order to deal with that. Although we have a fight going on in the back. Red Baron and Royal Star jumping Claw in the Mislinks. And Claw going down. First kill, and that forces the push over the top. Yep.
In the lead here.
Which is an interesting way to be.
Push is
take a look at that real quick.
Summoner is halved, it looks like. Not quite, almost.
All right, yeah,
so
it is.
Needs to get in there yet.
Let's see here. Indian the Crusader down to 62%. Yeah, Trommel definitely have. That is a big heat cap, but still got a lot of weapons on it. Taitetsu going down. There goes Ramen in the Firestarter. Ivazovsky and that Stalker goes down in between, but we've got Owner on the outside as KDCM tries to deal with the folks in the volcano. Zelk going down, which will give KDCM a mech advantage. Hollow going down, they're keeping it up, but their legs are so hurt. Red Baron to heat. This turned around, and it could still, the remaining Dark Sea Corsairs mechs could pull it off, but there's a lot of mechs on the field.
Unfortunately, the rival Vapor Eagle got caught in along the volcano, can't get out to kite this, but the Shadow Cat's trying to do its best. A lot of heat damage, though, on House.
Yep, Poner pulling back in the Warhammer, able to leg Smoke Dog and the Viper, who's just trying to push and menace in him. Poner's sort of out of the fight, but he's going to take Smoke Dog with him. We've got some large pulse coming from the end. I think, yeah, Taitetsu and Ferret are going after him. Crazy Indian Joe goes down. Smoke Dog down to 31%. I'm looking for the rest of the fight here. Royal Star out getting some shots out on these mechs crossing. He's going to run into Stool Softener in that Mad Cat, do a little bit of damage, but Stool Softener very fresh now coming into the fight here. As
Ceramic Pawner's trying to almost got out and got legged.
Yeah, and
so
neither team bothering with caps either. There goes Trommel finally.
This Viper's Smoke Dog is absolutely cooked out, 28%.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
No way it's close.
Yep, Poner's just going to hold on to that. Poner is legged, could go down, but Royal Star's moving into cover. Royal Star's probably going to take... Yep. There you go. Royal Star taking out Way the fella. Oh, yeah. Royal Star moving to counter Stool Softener rather than finishing Taitetsu.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got other shots on Taitetsu. One shot. That could be problematic here. Stool Softener.
Stool Softener's halved from the rear.
There we go. Taitetsu finally goes down. Oh, yeah. Let's see what's happening here. Stool Softener holding on, not able to finish it out. That almost... They killed so many, but
I think
so many were left.
Incorrectly after the volcano. Too many mechs chasing the Shadow Cat, which can escape, instead of going after the Warhammer, which cannot. And it's difficult to decide who's going to split for where, and you do need to eventually catch that Shadow Cat, or else you're going to lose to Caps. But that Warhammer lived for far too long as a mech that was too immobile to make the escape.
Yeah, again, much like our mining, I think this is a tale of mechs left, not exactly left behind, but not closed on in that case, because Smoke Dog and that Viper was chasing, but got legged halfway there and couldn't seal the deal. Poner in the Warhammer pulling almost 800 damage on that. Hollow in the Marauder 644. Claw in the Mistlings getting stuffed at 12 damage, unfortunately. And then Ramen in the Firestarter going down at 94. There's also a damage tail here as well.
Shout out to Poner for showing why the Warhammer 9D is fantastic.
Indeed. All right, so looks like our scoreboard is updated. Let's take a look at that. That looks about right. So there's some of the more stats, and then we'll give that a couple seconds and send it over to Dyer for the final debrief on that, as DSC closes against the Saturday Night Specials 3-0.
Again, who's claiming ownership of the ship? Because every single time I've seen a team push over there, get stalled over there, they lose.
Yeah. I don't know that they entirely stalled.
Well, no, they just pushed through that side. I can understand why they did it, but not a very good idea in my opinion. KDC, I really thought KDCM towards the end there was actually going to pull it off, and then I looked at the HP of the last remaining DSC mechs and just realized DSC has the range, the health, and the ability to finish off all of those mechs. Like Sir Epic Poner just backing up, legging the Viper immediately. Great situation call. Was able to just finish that off, drag the fight out long enough for the Firestarter, who was completely fresh, to sit there and get to that fight. I was worried about Royal Star there for a second, because I really thought that Mad Cat 2 was gonna absolutely nix him out of the game, but Shadow Cat was still up. There was still a lot of speed and everything. Claw made the grave mistake of light fighting 101, is never take a 2-on-1 when you don't have a buddy.
Yep. And ultimately that jump, I think it happened a little off screen from my point of view. Not sure if you caught that, Therix, but I think he got caught out and jumped by Royal and I am blanking on who else that was, the two mechs that jumped him, but I think he essentially got jumped, and they ended up chasing him into the firing line of the DSC firing line there, and that forced KDCM's hand to push in a disadvantageous position. Like, they could have pushed up along the left flank there and cut the volcano out, but they had to move because now they were a mech down and they had two lights in their back.
The Mistlings got caught out, and then the fire starter kind of leading the charge as well. It seemed like things got a little bit confused. Something went, didn't get quite communicated right, or you don't really want the fire starter leading the push. 5-10 seconds ahead of the rest of the squad. Well, not 10 seconds, but at least 2 or 3. It kind of felt just a little bit early.
Definitely a time. 100.
You want to say that one again there? You broke up.
It was definitely a timing issue from KDCM, especially watching Claw just get absolutely eaten alive there. Did anybody catch the build on the Summoner by any chance?
I did. It was an SRM Summer. I believe it was 8 SRM 6. And the side torso got opened up early, so it was kind of running around a little bit slow toward the tail end.
If I remember correctly, it was a Summoner Prime. And go and look, every Summoner has a CT quirk to help for it to do specific things. Yes. Prime has an energy quirk. I don't really think that helps with missiles. I talked about it earlier, like running like the Summoner B with like the speed tweak, being able to go up to like 90 kph. It's a little things.
A mech availability issue. Trommel's the player who started in, I believe the sheet said April of 2023. So they've only got 6 or 7 months of building a mech stable at this point. So they might not own the Summoner with a speed boost, for instance.
That might be, and it was a Prime. We're just kicking off the with the delay. It's just kicking off. So
top speed would be better, or even like just about any other center torso would probably be a contender.
Yeah, but so at the end of the day, it's those small little adjustments that you can make in the lab to really maximize out what your mechs can do, what they can't do, especially with like the Summoner platform, because we're seeing Summoners being able to do a lot more doing a lot more effective pushing. Its PVC builds are even stronger now.
I mean, just 10% velocity or 2.5% increased top speed doesn't sound like a lot, but at this level, you kind of want to really min-max that.
Yeah, I mean, any advantage is an advantage, right?
Yeah. Ultimately, unlikely to turn the fight, though.
I'm rewatching the playthrough here. That fight in the volcano was an absolute bloodbath. It was really hard to kind of keep track of everything there, but that's when like KDCM really was able to get the advantage. But like throughout the entire time, Serpic Poner was just standing still, firing, killing everything he needed to.
Yep.
Really
and then
just secure that win.
And then actually we're post that fight right now, where we've got Smoke Dog leg like immediately in the Viper. They left a couple of their weakest mechs in the volcano while everyone else went off against the Shadowcat and the Firestarter, who just kited them to death. It's really honestly excellent play by DSC there on all ends, and keeping their heads about them in this situation.
Yeah, that situational awareness is one of those huge things that really separates a lot of different comp pilots from each other. You can train how to shoot, you can train pathing, you can train all sorts of different things, but having that awareness and that know-how really is something you have to develop on your own. Like, Serpic Poner was a prime example of that. Him being aware of what's going on and what's happening really helped the other two mechs be able to kind of draw in and help finish off the team. So
very much in agreement on that. All right. I think we've anything else we're missing on that drop? I think we've covered pretty much every detail on it at this point.
I guess we could go ahead and mention that next week we now know that it's going to be Dark Sea Corsairs that have advanced here, and they're advancing on in the losers bracket to round 2 of the losers bracket, and the upcoming match that is being played in what is that,
about like 3 hours?
3 hours. Yep. 3 hours from now, it's Clan Crossfire and Fjord, and one of those two teams is going to advance to face Dark Sea Corsairs.
And actually, that's a good. What do you think, Dyer? What do you think comes out on top of that one?
For the matches later today?
Yeah, Crossfire and Fjord. Yep.
CXF because their logo is better. Still not salty about that. It's fine. It's definitely gonna be a really interesting one. I hope that one goes like to 5 games because
yeah,
I definitely think Fjord can pull off an upset, but I just think CXF is just way more prepared. They're way more aggressive this year. So
yeah,
they have something to prove from last year, definitely.
Oh yeah, they had an unfortunate last year. Just got knocked off their mojo, I think, when they came onto the North American server and never really recovered. But they are back with a vengeance. Fjord, on the other hand, I think has been playing in lower divs for this season. I don't know if they've hit Div B, but they are putting out a very strong showing in this top 12. They are playing very well as well. So
I'm going to go ahead and state that Clan Crossfire looked pretty good against Equilibrium in their match that they played last week. So I think it does favor Clan Crossfire against the Fjord Hunters of Fjordlands. But I'm hoping it goes more than 3 drops. We've had too many 3-0s for my taste so far in this tournament.
Except for the KDCM Q Dodgers, who seem to take well, except for GNX, but no, they swept 3. Like when they lose, they always take 1 with them. So far this tournament, just straight up, which I think is an interesting trend. But yes, yeah. I would agree with you. Clan Crossfire, very good showing against Equilibrium, who I think is one of the favorites for sure for the finals at the very least. Fjord, I think, coming into it with a very strong showing this year. I think this might be their first year in the top 12.
No, they were there last year.
Were they there last year? Okay.
Yeah.
Last year they squeezed in 12th place or something.
Okay.
I don't have that in front of me.
No, I think they were a little bit higher. I think they were like closer.
Okay.
7th? I could be mistaken. Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, you know what? We have a thing. Let me look up Fjord here real quick.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if the information's in there.
Yeah, but in which case, misstep by me. If they were in last year, then they are continuing their showing. Let's see here. Started in 2018. Made it to top 12 in 22. Yeah, it doesn't say which one, but they're continuing their qualification, and they are making a good showing in the I guess off seasons, the on seasons, the regular seasons, whatever we call it, the rest of the year. So we'll see if they're able to step it up here.
I mean, playing against them,
Crossfire.
My apologies. Playing against them in the first week, they definitely caught Emmy off guard with Hibernal. Their push they were able to hit at the right times when they needed to. Still looking for that leg, but Fjord's just a very, very push team. Not quite at the same level as KDCM teams, but they're definitely they're getting there. I would say they're probably on par with S-Rot whenever it comes to pushes.
I would probably agree with that. And the Fjord story has been one of improvement, like all through the year and everything. They are just constantly learning, constantly putting in the work. Definitely a team to watch coming up because they're doing, I think, the right things to make that improvement happen.
Yeah, I mean, considering the fact that they lost a lot of pilots to the creation of DSC, and just that constant rebuild. I mean, granted, they have, I think for Comp Q, I think they were boasting 12 teams in Comp Q,
something like that. Yeah, they also have a very deep stable.
Yeah, half of the population, pure. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to watch. I want it to go 5. I think it'll be very fun to watch. So.
All right.